Hello and welcome to another Paint Calm on a Friday. And we are on episode, I think it's 9. Yes, episode 9. So today we're going to do this lovely calm kind of seascape painting. It's, what do you call it? Triptych. So we've got the 3 different little pictures here, but we're just going to do them all in one go. So what we're going to do first is you will need to go all the way around your paper and then also divide it into 3. So I've got an A4 piece of paper here, and once you've put your bits all the way around the edge, you kind of end up with about 27 centimeters. So if you measure in 9 and 18, 9 centimeters and 18 centimeters, then that should give you your, as 9 threes are 27, it should divide the A4 piece of paper up nicely for you. So while you're getting that ready, if you are going to be painting with me, yeah, I did also do another one. So these little seascapes are quite good fun, I think. But anyways, we are sticking with this for now. And really you just need some blues and maybe a dark green, like a perylene green. I think that's what I used. So on this one, I just used indigo. On the middle one, I used cobalt, teal and cosmic blue, but you could use a teal and an indigo, that would be fine. And then on the third one, I used perylene green and cobalt teal. The other material that I used was my trusty bleed proof white, so I will pop that there. And I also used an elegant writer on this one in the middle. You don't have to use an elegant writer as long as you've got a black pen that is water soluble. In other words, it's going to do something when you add the water to it, then you'll be fine. So I'll put that over to one side as well. So indigo, cosmic blue and cobalt teal, but you could use indigo and a teal, perylene green and a cobalt teal for this one. Hopefully that's given you some time to get your paper ready. I've got a few brushes out. I've got my trusty Escoda Perla set of 3 brushes, a 12, a 10 and an 8. And then to do some of the white lines with the bleed proof white, I've got a little round 2 here. This is a Craftmo. I think this was Emma Jane Lefebvre's set from a while ago. So I'm going to start with my big paintbrush, and oh no, keep my head out of the shot. Okay, let's try hard to keep my head out of the shot. So I'm just going to wet this first one because we want the paint to move and spread out. And as I said, if you're not sure, then lift your paper up, and if it's shiny, then you've wet it. And I've stuck my A4 piece of paper onto a A4 cutting mat, which is my usual thing to do. So I'm going to take some indigo And we are just going to spread that out everywhere. Do remember that when the paint dries, it dries lighter. And then I'm going to pick up my size 8 and still with my indigo, I want to get some kind of lines in. So I'm going to do 3 lines. You can choose how you do your lines. And I'm okay. I want those to kind of spread out and merge a bit. So I'm just going underneath and just spreading that darker, thicker paint a little bit. And there we have the beginnings of our first seascape. Now, because we need that to dry, we can move on to our middle one today. So my middle one was, what colours did I say? Cobalt blue and, no, cobalt teal and cosmic blue. Okay. So I have got a little thing here to mix with, and I'm going to take, you could be using indigo if you haven't got cosmic blue. These are my Michael Harding paints. So I'm going to take some cosmic blue and some cobalt teal, and I want that to mix. So on this one, I haven't pre-wet it. Oops. Never mind, we'll tip that on instead, being as it all tipped. It'll teach me to hold it, won't it? And I'll add a bit more cosmic blue down the bottom there. And a bit more of our cobalt teal. Okay. And then, with my smaller brush, I'm going to grab more of my cosmic blue, or if you're using indigo, use indigo. And we will get our 3 lines in again. And we'll just allow those to mingle and merge. Okay, leaving that to dry. We'll move on. And this time I want some perylene green, or a dark green. If you've got a dark green, that will work nicely. So let's try not to get my head in the shot. And this time I kind of want the green to go more diagonally here. You can see I'm not being precious about how I'm putting any of this paint on. And then we want some cobalt teal. And I want that to just be a lot lighter at the top there. And maybe we'll just dab a bit of that cobalt teal in down here. Okay, so I think our next job will be to dry them all. So let me grab bending down my heat gun, and we will dry all of these now. Okay, so we can now move on. So with our first one, we are going to, left my brush in the water. We are going to get ourselves a smaller brush, and if you haven't got bleed proof white, you could use white gouache or even white acrylic if you've got it. So what we want to do is get some nice wiggly, just kind of wiggly lines going on. So make sure my head's out of the way. You can do them like bubble type things. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to do that for each of these lines. And I'm going over the above the darker indigo that we did. Like so. Now, I think before I go any further, I want to make it a little bit darker underneath. What did we use for this one? Indigo. I want to make it just a little bit darker underneath. That one's all right because it's quite dark underneath, but this one, I'm going to just go underneath my white bit. And then just with a damp brush, let that merge a bit more so that I haven't got a solid edge. And I want to do the same on this bottom one. It didn't quite come out as dark as I would have liked it. Yours might be, you might not need to do this. But if, like me, that's kind of what happened to you, then panic not. I need a bigger brush to do this. That's better. Just allowing them to... where am I? This one. We'll have that one coming down a bit more, I think. Like so. Now that looks a little bit more effective, I think. Now, what you could do is, where we've got those kind of bubbly shapes, you could decide to fill a few of those in. So I'm just, I bring this up, I'm just where there's a little bubble there, I'm just filling that one in. Not all of them, just kind of here and there. And then I think we need some splats. So we'll get some splats going on. Let's use the bigger brush. Right, I don't want it to go over that. So I'm just going to cover that over with a piece of tissue so that I can get some of these splats going on. This will not turn out the same as my other one. Because they just don't. But there we go. We have our first seascape. That's looking quite nice. So let's move on to this one. And what should we start? Let's start with bleed proof white. But this time we're doing more wavy lines rather than bubbly type shapes. And so we're just going to do wiggly lines. And I'm going above the darker line again. There we go. So this one we've got wiggly lines. Then we are going to take our water-soluble pen, and above our bleed proof white we are just going to do squiggles. And the same on this one. So we end up with something like that. We can also do some circles. And you could decide to colour a few of those in. And I forgot to mention that you're going to need a spray bottle. So for this one, we need a spray bottle with the water-soluble bit. and we basically, oh, you can see, I'm going to let that dribble and drip. And that's the effect that I want. I want dribbles and drips, basically. I'm even going to add some little squiggles on this one, so it's slightly different to the one I did. As I said, it's terribly difficult to do things exactly the same each time, so give yours a bit of a shake about if you want to. In fact, I might take some of my cosmic blue, which is what I used on this one, and get some wiggly lines going on as well. And then just give that a bit more of a spray. Looks like I'm losing some of my bleed proof white, so I'm going to go over that again. But there we have our middle one. And then for this one, we just need our bleed proof white. And we just want to, they're like the waves, I suppose. Yeah. So we're just going where these waves might be. And then with a damp brush, I'm just going to blend those in, blend it in places. Don't want the harsh lines, especially on this top one. So just allowing that to blend in a bit more. Right, I'm going to give everything a dry next, and then see what else, if anything else, I need to do. Okay, I think that is nice and dry. So there are a few things that I want to fix. So I've got this line here and I don't really want that there. So I'm going to see if I just use a damp brush, yes, whether I can get rid of that. So that's just a damp brush. So I just didn't like that line going across there. And then on this one, I seem to have lost, wrong brush, small brush. Seem to have lost these white lines a little bit where I spritzed and sprayed. So I'm going to get my wiggly lines back in again. And here. Like that, so that it looks a little bit better. And I've lost some of the squiggly lines with the Elegant Writer as well. So I want to get those squiggly lines back in. Because I think that that looks better with those squiggly lines, and maybe even get some of these bubbles back in as well. There, that's a bit better. Okay, I think that one is fine as it is. That one now looks better. Do I want to do anything else to this one? I somehow feel that that white isn't looking as good. Maybe I need to put something underneath, that's why. Right, let's get some of the perylene green. I think we need a bit more darker under here. Damp brush just so as I don't get a harsh line. And then we'll get a bit of the cobalt blue under here. And we'll do the same. We'll just damp brush, just letting that. And then with my bleed proof white, I want to make that one and that one a bit bolder. So I think that ooh, a bit more than there. Yes, that's better. Okay, so we have 3 lovely seascapes, and I know it's not quite dry, but obviously you can wait till yours is dry before you take off the masking tape, but I will take mine off now. Okay. I forgot to tell you the paper that I'm using, didn't I? I'll show you that in a moment. It is 300 GSM watercolour paper, cold pressed. It has got some texture to it. There. Okay. So move everything out of the way. And we have our triptych of a seascape. And as you can see, although I've kind of done the same kind of thing, they have actually come out differently. And they will. Yours won't look exactly the same as mine. There's no way that I can make mine look exactly the same the next time around either. So yes, don't worry if yours isn't looking exactly like mine. But I think that that is quite a fun, abstracty, triptych seascape painting that doesn't require any drawing. It's just a few colours and very relaxing and calming. So I hope that you will have a go. If you watched to the end, you can type into the comments beach, and yeah, I will look forward to seeing you either again for another paint calm, or hopefully you'll watch some of my other videos too. All right, as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay calm, and always a big thank you for watching and following me and subscribing and being there. Take care.